Hi, it's Vicky Morgan here from Ashflow Finances, talking to you today about relationships and money. Firstly, the disclaimer, I'm not about to give you any financial advice. This slideshow is for education purposes only, so please seek financial advice before making any financial decisions for yourself in the future. Today's topic is all about creating powerful money management and financial freedom together. We're going to cover 5 key areas. Firstly, how money impacts a couple's relationship. What are the biggest causes of money stress? The importance of having a money mindset of abundance. Simple tips for money management. And protecting those that you love. So let's start with how money impacts a couple and their relationships. We know that some couples do their money management really well, and some couples, it's absolutely the heartache between a relationship. So you're in love. You finally found the person that you want to be with forever. You get into a wonderful relationship. You set up your home. And then what happens is fundamentally we start seeing some cracks in the relationship. Basically, you realize that you're both on different pathways when it comes to your money story. When we're thinking about relationships and the communication that happens, what we often see is sometimes it's really obvious because there's a lot of fighting and blaming about what isn't or isn't happening within the money. And then the other couples do an amazing job of hiding their feelings. They build up all of this resentment and hatred, and they feel powerless to make any changes around their money story. It's one of the top 5 reasons why people get divorced. And what we're about to share with you is some people really do this well and why some couples really do it poorly. So your question really is, money, is it a core disruptor in your relationship? And how we want to do this is we want to look for signs that money could be the thing that's hurting your current relationship stance. Common denominators that we see with couples that are not doing their money plan well are simple things like having no plan. They have no idea where the money goes. They live week to week. They feel overwhelmed with the bills coming in, and they feel like there's no money left over. We also see the scenario where there's one person that's controlling all of the decisions around money. And this leaves the other party feeling helpless, disempowered, having no say over what happens with the spending. And when you've got that scenario, when you've got one person dominating everything within the relationship, it doesn't allow you to have this nice balanced feeling or allow both parties to have some sort of control over what's happening with the money. And that causes a lot of disharmony. The next one's my favorite one, and we see this all of the time. There's no money that's your own. So one of my core beliefs is even if you're pooling all of your money, even if one person's working out of the couple or both people are working, it's really important that out of all of the money that comes into your family budget or that family money pool, that each person individually has their own money. It might seem obvious, but to have that little bit of money or a lot of money, depending on where you're at with your budget, that you can spend on whatever makes your heart sing is so important. I know for us, when we first started doing this and we allocated an amount of money out of our pool of combined money for our own purposes, it took so much out of the arguments about where was all the money going, because it didn't matter where my money was going. I didn't have to say, is it okay if I go and have a coffee with my girlfriend or lunch or buy a pair of shoes or whatever it was that I wanted to spend extra money on my children. I didn't have to justify it to anyone because it was fundamentally my money. It was an agreed amount that both of us sat down and agreed together that we would have as our own. And the great news with doing that is once you run out of your own money, there's only a few days before you get new money. So I highly recommend when you're setting up your money plan that you make it a weekly type of allowance coming through. We always laugh. It's a little bit like adult pocket money. And, when we first started doing this, a lot of our friends gave us a lot of rubbish about, oh, what do you mean you're getting an allowance to spend? But what it meant for us is that neither of us had to justify what we were doing with our own private money. And there's such a great feeling of empowerment in that one statement. The other poor disruptor that we see with couples is that they have no communication around money. So there's no setting of dreams or goals or targets, or there's no communication about what the money's doing coming into the pot, where it's going out, who's in control of the money, as in who's making the payments. They don't have clear ongoing communication around the money. A lot of the time when we see couples get into financial stress, what happens is they both put their head in the sand and there's no communication, and then they start getting on this horrible treadmill where the debt just keeps getting higher and higher and higher, and neither one is talking about it. And the other thing we see is one person trying to talk about it and then the other party not being involved in that story around what's happening with their money. And when you get into that situation, what we end up seeing is that at the end of your pay cycle, whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, there is no money left. Or often we see that you're running out of money before you get to the end of the pay cycle. Again, this comes back to having no communication, no plan. And when you get into that situation, the stress that it causes on a relationship is incredible. And then you get into a blame game. It's huge. It's not fun. And it's something that's really easy to resolve. It's about where you're at now, looking at what's happening. What happened yesterday is yesterday's news. Get a clean slate and a clean plate and start again. So when you're thinking about your money, it's really important not to dwell on what happened yesterday or last week or last year. You guys are here for a reason. You want to make some fundamental improvements in your relationships and your money story. And congratulations, you're doing that. Today you're sitting down together looking at ways that you can improve your money story. So outside of what's happening for you now, we see the biggest causes of money stress are a loss in job, illnesses, the ongoing increasing debt levels, and that's again about nobody looking after the bottom line, poor money management, so no communication. And as I said, yeah, absolutely, lack of communication is one of the biggest things. So let's address those individually. Job loss and illness. This is one of the biggest problems we see with married people that don't have a plan, that don't have a safety net in place. Whether you're married or not, trying to find money when you're in between jobs causes an enormous amount of stress. The other second top factor is that you're not well enough to work. So if you get ill, you get sick, you get hurt in some way, again, not having a safety net in place to deal with these factors can really put so much stress on a relationship, because you're not only dealing with the fact that there's a loss of income, but you're also dealing with extra possible expenses, having to deal with, what's going on in your head. If you've lost your job for a particular reason, the impact is incredible. But having a safety net of funds is 100% the best way or the best cures not to have to stress about this situation at all. We always talk to clients about at least having 3 months worth of money, which is your do not touch money. It's the safety net, so it can cater for any of the above situations. And when you have this money, when you know that that's there no matter what, there's a real level of stress relief and calmness that comes, because you know that no matter whether you're going to get a job within 3 months, or it's possible that you're going to get well within the 3 months before you have to deal with the added pressure of not having enough money. The other factor to look for is also income protection, life, and TPD. Now, these areas you really need to speak to a professional from, such as a financial planner, so that you can make sure that this level of covers that you're getting are suitable for you. You can also get cover inside and outside of super, but I'll leave it for you to speak to a financial planner to see which one is best for you to take in that situation. My first protocol, 3 months worth of safety net money, and additionally have a look at income protection, life, and TPD. Those two factors will 100,000% cater for less stress around those two major job loss and illness scenarios. So when we're talking about making sure that you're running your budget like a pro, we always factor those two units in. I can't stress this enough. It's so important. So once we've got that organized, the next thing we want to think about is our debt levels. So when you're in debt, and there are a lot of Australians that are in this pool, we spend so much energy just, paddling around, thinking about our debt, looking at, how much debt we're in, talking about how much debt we're in, feeling like we're drowning, feeling like there's no hope. And this just adds to the stress. And you may be sitting here in this situation going, well, it's okay for you don't know what it's like. Well, I can tell you I do. I've been between jobs, we've been sick, we've been without our safety net in place. We've been at the food bank trying to get food because we've got no money to feed the kids. It is the worst place to be in, and the blame and how upset you get with each other for getting there is incredible, whether it's deserved or not. So it's so important that we look at the mindset of where you're at if you're here. And one way that we address this is when I feel so overwhelmed, or when I used to feel so overwhelmed, is I would look at the worst case scenario and try and find the brighter side in this. And my go-to always with customers is, yes, you might be here now, but congratulations, you're making a change. And look at what the worst case scenario is. Hey, like, we live in Australia. If we went bankrupt and we lost our home, we live in a political system where they do provide housing, we can get money for food, we have services that can help us get back on track. So when you're thinking about the worst case scenario, if you think that that's where you get to and someone's going to feed you and you're going to have a house, you spend so much less time worrying about where you're at. And it gives you more time to think about and work towards how you can get out of this debt pool. And it's all about relieving stress around money. So start thinking about, well, we're here now, we're doing something about it, we're actually going to be making changes, and we're going to stop thinking about the level of debt that we're in. We're actually going to start thinking about how we're going to get out of it. So causes that get you here, as we said before, it's about poor money management. Now, often people think that money management or poor or lack of money management is when we make these really big decisions, like we buy that new car and we buy that new house and we spend on a holiday that we shouldn't have spent money on. But 99% of the time, people find themselves in this debt pool because they've made poor decisions every single day. They've overspent in a small way every single day. And what happens is all of that additional small overspending is what's created these large debts. The overspending each week on the credit card and then not being able to clear the credit card at the end of the month. And then that credit card gets full and then you start on another credit card. So then you spend a lot of your money paying interest on the first credit card while you're spending on your second credit card. It's those weekly and daily overspending small amounts that have created this debt in the first place. So it's all about looking at where our money goes. And one of the big problems that we see is people don't have any idea where their money going. They get this bit of plastic, they hit the shops, it goes ding, 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 and then the plastic card gets full, and then they don't know where they're going to go from here. We often see that when you get to this point as well, that there's no money left at the end of the week because all of your money that you're earning is now suddenly going to the bank, so that you don't have money left over to even buy the fundamentals or the basics that you need. And when you get to this point, you often see people running out of money 2 or 3 days or even sometimes a week before their next pay packet. This is really, really awful thing, for people to be in. And I feel so much compassion when they get there. But there is hope. There is simple ways that you can change the way that you behave with your money so that this doesn't happen. The other important factor that we see is that we see people having completely different views on what's important to them. So one person might be a spender, one person might be a saver. So we see the spender out spending on incidentals or whatever they feel like. And then the person that's the saver or that doesn't want to spend money is really conflicted and really resentful the person that does spend the money. And yet the person spending the money is resentful for the person that doesn't want to spend the money. So there's an enormous impact on not only the poor money management, but the lack of communication that goes on between the couples. So it's so important to have a good money management plan is to get a game plan. So we see people that are in the big debt pool, they have no game plan. They are blaming each other. They don't get what they want, and we see that generally it's just a miserable place to be. So it's really essential to have some sort of plan. Our second factor in poor management is really around lack of communication. I can't stress enough, communication is king. Without this, you have no chance of success. It's not only the starting point of getting on track with your money, but it's also what's going to keep you on track. It's important to talk and talk often. So it's not just set and forget, it's not get it set up and then just blindly go through. It's about checking in with each other. Check in with how each other's going. Have you got enough of your own money? Are you feeling good about where you're moving forward? Are you seeing the debt come down? When you do it and do it often, you can often switch the way you think about money. We want to be thinking about it like it's a business arrangement. It's like a financial agreement, right? It needs to be free from guilt, shame, blame, and emotion. Now, you might be sitting here thinking that that's impossible, but when you look at it like it's a business transaction and money is just a tool, it's a tool that we use in today's world to get us things that we need and want. So there will be joint basic needs that you need, as in you've got to pay the mortgage, you need food, you might need clothing. In our budget, a basic need for us is a holiday every year, so we put that in our bills money. Over and above those core basic needs, there are other things that you need to find out about. So we all know that bills need to be paid, but there's other core needs that you might have, things that are really important to you. And these are the conversations that we want to have. We want to know, what is your goal? What's your partner's goal? What are the dreams? Our life is not on this planet to be about earning money to give it away to paying bills. It's about bringing money in that's going to get us to all of our goals and dreams, whatever they're important. So when we start this, we look at what are the joint basic stuff: food, bills, mortgages, all of those things. How much money have we got left over? Where are we going to direct that money? And making sure that we incorporate some of our dreams and goals in there. Now, your dreams might be as simple as being able to go and have coffee with a girlfriend a couple of times a week, or It could be that you want to buy a boat. So how do we incorporate those dreams in our money management system so that we not only get what's important to us in life, but we'll also be able to meet our basic needs today? So thinking about your money story, it's so important that we have a money mindset of abundance. So I've popped this short video in for you. And when you first see it, you might think, oh, this is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It can't possibly work. But as a person who has had a poor relationship with money, and now I have a phenomenal relationship with money, these are some of the simple steps that I took to get there. I opened myself up to attracting more money in your life. And if you get this in your mind, even if you're thinking about quantum physics, like attracts like. So one of the things we want to start doing is we want to start being positive around money so that we can not only create more, we can attract more into our life, and we can hold more into our life for the purpose of money. So please enjoy this video. So what's your money story? So we've talked about what couples do. We've seen thousands of couples. We want to nut it down for what's important to you. So I'd like you to take a moment now and think about when you were young. I'd like you to think about your parents. How did they feel about money? When you were little, did you hear them making statements like, money doesn't grow on trees, you need to work hard for your money, no, we can't afford that? All of these types of comments have left little imprints on you and how you think and feel about money. In some families, money wasn't spoken about at all, like it was some sort of taboo. So often people are not even exposed to the stress around money, so then they don't know how to deal with it when it comes to them. So we're going to do a little exercise, and just stop the video whenever you feel like you need to take some time out. And it's really important for both of you to do this together and separately. So the exercise is going to be, get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down all the memories about what people that you grew up with think and feel about money. Write them all down. Take some time and dig deep. Think about when you were a little child and you were asking for a lolly or a toy, or what was the conversation? What were you being told by your parents? I want you to write all of that wording down, and do it individually, because I'm sure your parents from both sides had different conversations around money. So stop and take some time out now to do that. So welcome back. So now we've got what you grew up with money, and that will help you give some understanding about your money mindset. We're going to do a second exercise. So the second exercise is, I'd like you to get another clean piece of paper, and I want you to write down where you are now. Not financially about all your debts and bills, but what I would like you to do is to write down your thoughts about money. So in an honest way. So if you feel like you're not lucky with money, or money's hard, or you never have enough money, or you feel like there's always a lack, or are you generous with money, or do you hang on to it tight? Do you feel confident with money, or are you unsure? Is there lack? I know a lot of people feel like they don't have enough. Also, I want to know, is financial success important to you? Now, for some people, that's a no. And one of the big questions are do you love money? Okay, a lot of people have a negative reaction to that statement. But do you love money? Is money your friend? Or does having money make you feel greedy? So take some time out, write all of that down, and really dig deep and be as honest as you can around it. Because if you want to make some changes, the best way is to be honest. Don't worry about what your partner's writing, just be honest with what you feel. Take some time and we'll come back for exercise 3. So welcome back. Hope that was a good exercise for you, and it gives you some insights of what you thought about money. So part of exercise 3 is we want to have a look at your feelings. We want to have a look at the language. And we want to have a look at this compared to your partners, because that may help you understand where they're at and where you're at just by that one event. And please do this with love and compassion. This is not about blame. This is not about the past. It's about gathering a deep understanding of where your partner might be within their money story. There's some good chances that you're on the same page, and there's some great chances that you're on different. Often we see that one is a spender and one controls everything so tightly. And what we want to look at is, where has this come from? And how does this compare to your other? What differences and what's the same that you can see? We want to see the patterns. We want to see those so we can see clues to why you both behave the way you do around money. Does this give you a better understanding? And that's what the exercise is about. We want to come to a place where you can say, now I understand how you feel about that, because I can see where that comes from. And in that space of coming together, you get the opportunity to make the change. If there's any negative beliefs around yourself, this is where we want to do some reframing. We want to make a statement that's going to reframe our language around money. So often when we do this exercise, we see some people, and especially my parents, our story at home was we never have enough money. So one way we can think about that, if that's been your story from your parents, is we can change it to we always have enough money to meet our need. Okay, so we go from we never have enough money to we always have enough money to meet our needs. Because in reality, we live in Australia. We're always going to have somewhere to live, and we're always going to have something to eat, and when you're looking at needs, they are the fundamental basics, and everything above that is a plus. This was my favourite. My dad used to say to me all the time, you have to work really hard from your money. In actual fact, you don't. Money comes easy to you, or comes to you easily from the work that you do, doesn't it? You do your work and bingo, the money goes straight into your account. That's an easy process. So when we think about and we start reframing our thoughts around money, then there's a breathe out. There's less stress again. And that's our goal. We want to be less stressed around money. This is something that I did all the time. When I was trying to increase my money, or the amount of money that I had earning come in, I used to stand in the shower and I used to write in the present, I earn X amount of dollars per month easily. Whatever that X was for you, whether it's $500, $1,000, $10,000, $50,000, whatever it is. It's important to start your mind thinking that you can earn this money. Because what we know to be true is the brain doesn't know what to look for unless you're giving it clear instruction. Changing your language will mean your brain will start telling your eyes to look for that outcome. So things like, if you feel like you don't have enough money for food, what happens to you? You naturally start looking for all of the specials in the store. So you're already telling your brain something, and your brain's telling your eyes to look for specials. Okay, so that's a pretty basic way to look at it. An easy way to look at it, again, and this is my favorite one I tell with people, is use my car theory. So what I would like you to do, and this is good training for your brain, is to think about the car that you want to see yourself in every day. So our brain generally sees two cars on the road. They see the car that we're driving in because that's what it knows, and we see the car that we want. So for fun, why don't we imagine the next car that we want to drive? So step in and start thinking about what is the next car that you want to drive. And over the next week, record down how many times you see that car. You may never have seen that car before. Or pick a car that you don't think about ever, like whatever car, and start telling your brain, that's the car that I want. And your brain will get your eyes to start finding it. And you'll suddenly see that car pop up everywhere. This exercise helps you believe the understanding that if you start changing the way you think about money and you start reframing your language about it, your brain will start looking for ways that you can either increase your money, or that you see that money comes easily towards you, or that you can see that you always have enough money to meet. So where do we start? We've gone through where you're at, we've gone through why you're there, we've gone through some reframing, and now we want to look at some basic fundamentals. So to start with, when you're looking at changing your financial story, we need to know exactly where you're at. You can't run towards somewhere without having a starting line. We need to know that place exactly down to the dollar so that we know how to grow and we know how to set our goals. We want to know the best pathway, how we're going to get there. And remember, your partner's in this money business. It is separate from your relationship. It is a business decision. And we want to be really clear on how you both want to live, how much money you both want to live comfortably with, and how to manage what you currently have. They're key elements to running a successful marriage of money. And both people need to be heard in this relationship. Both people need to have a say in it. One person can't dominate, but it's great for one person to run. And when you can get to this stage where you listen to the other person about what's important to them, in my heart, I know you guys will have a breakthrough. So what's next? So now we know where our background come from. We know why we think the way we do. We want to know what we're going to do about it. We want to get you guys stepping in and creating a life that you're going to love, and it's all about getting this plan happening. And with your money, there's nothing different about this. We want to know, where is your money now? Are you running one of those nasty budgets? Yuck. It's such a revolting word. And I know budgets won't work, but having a plan and having a goal, they do. But before we start running this race, we're going to get a clear starting line. We're going to leave all the emotions at the door. We're going to go straight into big business mode, and we're going to stop playing our blame game. So step one, our ins and outs. Money is all about what's coming through the door and what's going out of the door. We need to look at how much income is coming into the household, and of that income, what belongs to you and what belongs to everybody else. And what I mean by that is, all the money that you've got, some of that money doesn't belong to you. It's going to cover your housing costs, it's going to cover food, clothes, cars, and then you're going to have a certain amount of money left over. Now that's the bit of money that belongs to you guys. And the big decision that you need to make is, what's important? What are we going to do with that money? What is the most important thing? And that could be things like paying your home off. It could be things like creating more wealth, a holiday, or it could even be all of the above. There's no rules about what we do with that extra money. So where does it all go? So when you've finished watching this presentation, I'd love you to gather all of your bills, and I'd like you to take some time out and complete our money planner. There'll be a link provided at the end of the presentation, or a section where you'll be able to access the money planner. Now this is going to give you clarity and the power to transform your money story. We really want to find out, of all of the money that you've got coming in, how much money you've got left over. So we're going to look at all of the ins and outs. Is there any money left over? Are your goals bigger than the money that is left over? And this is where the fun begins. We want to start looking at each of the bills. The home loan's usually your biggest one. And we want to see how we can retain more of that money. Can you get a better interest rate? My thinking is the banks have enough money, right? They don't need any more of yours. So what we want to do is we want to contact the bank and we want to find out whether we're going to get a better interest rate. If they don't give you a better interest rate, call your mortgage broker or a mortgage broker and see what they can do for you. We often find with our clients we can save them between $2,000 and $6,000 a year in interest savings. And then we work our way down in the list. We want to contact all our services providers, our power bill. We want to look at the credit cards. Can we get a better interest rate, or can we roll it into a fee-free interest period for a period of time? And once we've sat down and we've redone all of this and we've worked out how we can retain more of our money, we want to sit down and do the money planner again, because you'll find you'll have all this extra cash that you didn't have before. And then you get to decide, what are we going to do with the leftover money? So step 2, our leftover money. So hopefully we've got a little bit left here, and it could be a little bit or it could be a lot. But the question is what do you want to do with it? And again, it's a decision for both of you. It's not about one getting something and the other not getting anything. So my first question to you guys is, how much do you want to keep that's your own money? Now this could be your weekly allowance. It could be $20, $50, $100, but it has to be out of the money that's left over. And this is the money, remember, that we're going to spend on whatever we want. We can save it, we can spend it on whatever we want without being questioned by the other party. And it's so vital that we have our own money, because it gives us a sense of control. The next thing that we're going to do is, once you've worked out what that money is we want to clear debt and create wealth. So if you've got debt, what we tend to do is we have a look at how much money have we got left over, how much do we want to keep for ourselves, and then we use, say, 2/3 of the rest of the debt to clear debt and 1/3 of the rest of the debt to create wealth. Now, when I say create wealth, the first thing we're doing is creating that 3 months worth of safety net money. It is so important that you have that to cover the what ifs. And 2/3 to clear debt. So if you split your money up like this, you'll see that suddenly you'll have some savings coming up, but you can also see that you have some of your debts coming down. There's another link that shows you, by making extra little repayments onto your home loan, how quickly you can reduce your debt. So have a bit of a play with it, and I can show you some quick examples as well. So this is a general example. So say you had a $400,000 mortgage and you had an interest rate of 4.5. I would suggest you'd be wanting to get a much cheaper interest rate than that. And you paid an extra, say, $220 off a month on your mortgage. Now that potentially is going to save you not only 5.5 years of mortgage repayments, but $68,000. That's a massive amount of money. It's huge, 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 huge. By making weekly repayments and extra weekly repayments on your mortgage instead of monthly repayments, again, a massive savings, potentially, and these are just scenarios, but having that extra amount a week can save you over $100,000. So we're talking big bucks by being able to pour extra money into your mortgages. And by doing that, could you imagine what it would be like to have no debt, no mortgage, to have it paid off in 10 years instead of 30? You would have all of this extra money. Once we've got the mortgage under control, we want to have a look at all of the debts. My favorite thing is to pay the smallest one out first, because it's going to give you a quick win and it's going to keep you on track. Then the money that you use to pay that little debt, you add to the surplus funds and you put it into the next debt till it's gone. And you keep everything else on minimum payments until you start seeing these smaller little debts go. And the smaller the debt, the quicker you're going to pay it off. So it's a success, a quick win, and it will keep you motivated. Kill the next debt down, kill the next debt down, and keep continuing till they're all clear. And what will happen then? You'll have an increase in your cash flow and you'll have more choice for what you want to do with your leftover money. So step 3, the rest of your leftover money is to getting that safety net in place. So 2/3 is going to be down to paying the bill, and the 1/3 is going to be used for the safety net. Pop it into a savings account and keep saving until you have at least 3 months worth of living costs. Now you'll know what they are because you've got that from your money planner. And having this money safety net takes so much stress out of your money story. You'll be so excited that you've got it, because if something goes wrong, you've got money to be able to resolve it. Please remember though, this is not for a holiday, it's not for a new car, because hopefully within your money planning, you've already budgeted for those. It's for the absolute 100% disastrous things can happen, like job loss, like illness. And it's an amazing feeling. No matter what happens, you've got money to survive on for at least 3 months. So step 4, we're going to talk about some goals. So we've looked at all of our costs that we've got going in and out. We've worked out how much you can retain and how to retain more of your money. We have our safety net in place. So at least that 3 months living expenses. Probably feeling a little bit more confident now and you're back on track. And so what we want to do is discuss what's really important here now, as individuals, and as a couple. So things we want to include within this discussion are, did you count a holiday as a bill? Do you guys want a new car or a boat? Are renovations on your house? We want to plan to have life. We want to be able to have a plan to do all of these things that make our life interesting. And having a plan means we're going to get all of these things and so much more. You'll feel so relieved, you'll feel so in sync with each other, knowing that you're both achieving what you want to achieve within life. I can't even express what a gorgeous feeling is to get here. And lastly, we want to look at protection. So we talked about it earlier on in the process, but if you have life throw you one of these curveballs, we've got it covered. It's so important to know exactly what you need, know why you need it, ensure you've got some protection to protect you financially. And I honestly suggest, please look at getting income protection, some life cover, some TPD, because this is the final step that will allow you both to breathe out and let go of any money stress. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I hope I've given you some insights to help you guys move forward. I wish you much joy and success. I can 100% guarantee that every couple that have gone through this process with me have come out of it being financially so much stronger, being in sync, enjoying their conversations around money, talking about their dreams and goals and wishes, and getting those dreams and goals and wishes happening for you all. Wishing you much joy and love. Please call me, tap in, connect with me anytime that you think I can help you with anything, and look forward to chatting to you again soon.